Okay, let's go and talk about a little bit more about Kafka. This is a Kafka security channel. I would like to introduce you something like the producers and the messages. And the first thing that can share with you it's the message is the event, is the focal point in Apache Kafka. Is the main point here in Apache Kafka is the message, the record, right? And but how we can build in this record? So basically we have the body and we have the metadata information. So the body is a simple value, the key, the topic, and broker. It's something that is mandatory we need to put. If you use the library of Kafka, for example, this is four configurations. It's like mandatory configuration. Actually, three, because the key is not mandatory. If you put null in the key, you can do this way. You will produce the messages. But the other things is more optional. I mean, if you don't put anything, Kafka will do to you because the library is created to do this. So you have the magic byte, the headers, the timestamp, the offset, the partitions, the compressions, is some configuration that you can use or not. You don't need to specify, right? Something that they will do to you. The header is something sometimes is very important. You can use it. I mean, I know why a lot of different projects don't use the header, but you can use the header because imagine you need to collect some information from a source database and put in the top, and they for you instead you consume the message, serialize it, I mean, if you consume the message, you need to serialize the message and etc. process. But if you have some information in the header, you can quickly know what's happening inside this message. Let's try to example to you. So you have the something that come from the source database, and you can put in the header, okay, these messages come from this specific database. And so I put out this in the top, and I can just consume messages from the specific database, and I can check the header and you done. And or maybe you can create your UID, right? A specific unique ID for the messages or some other metadata information the messages, so you don't need if or depend of what you need to do with the messages, you can get the messages more quickly. You don't need to go and tear out the messages, the serialize them, the check out what we have and the values, etc. You can go quickly in the header. So this is the one I think it's you put and can keep in mind, and basically can consume more fast and split the messages quickly in your process. But let's try to and understand a little bit more about the flow of the message. So messages have the events, okay? So we you public are publishing the topics. So topics, what is this topics, right? Topic is the way, is a logical that represent number of partitions. So we have a topic here, but this topic inside your Kafka cluster have a partitions, and Kafka have a partitions replicated between the brokers. So when a consumer will produce a messages to a topic, but topic is just a logical representation inside the Kafka cluster. Because if you check and go to inside the Kafka brokers, you can see the name of the topic underscore a number represent the number of partition. This is exactly what the producer need to produce the message. So and what is the most important thing here into the producer is the partitions leader. The producer needed to know where is the partition leader, what brokered partitions leader leave, and they will start to produce messages to specific partition leader. If I have a replication factory between brokers, Kafka will replicate the partitions between brokers to you. You don't need to care this. Your producer maybe care about this, depend of the configuration, right? If you use ACK equal all, for example, and min sync replica equal 3. So you need to wait all the replica, a confirmation of our replica. We can try to explain a little bit more, but let's continues here. So we have the producer, and one producer can produce it to multiple topics. So I have one producer, and I can produce it to different topics, and I can use a lot of producers to produce to only one topic. It's totally possible to do this way, but keep in mind, it's sometimes to do something like this could be a challenge, right? If you need to design this and think how you can manage all the messages inside the same topic, the same producer. The simple way normally it's to the producer produce to one topic, but it's totally possible to do these different configurations, right? But let's talk about the partition strategy from the uh, producer perspective. So basically, the partition strategy have a load balancer or semantic partitioning, which means we have the standard strategy that have a hash key percent number of partition, which means if a key is not specified, he will send it like a round robin to Kafka. How this really works? So if you want to add a producer, let's imagine this is a producer and have don't have a key actually. So basically Kafka will produce messages to different topics like a round robin. The strategy here is a round robin message, so each messages will in different partitions because the partitions is equal null. But let's see a different way with key. If you add a key, you can store all the messages to the same partitions with the same key, which means if this key, like this example here, I have these messages with key number one, and all the key we will store, or I mean, Kafka will produce to the same topic, and the same for the others one. So because I have only two different keys, right, in the same key, in this my scenario, partitions 3 could be with zero messages because Kafka will store all the messages together with the same key. So this is a kind of thing you need to keep in mind and think how you can manage the Kafka messages inside your topic with the keys or not. If you use the keys is important. You can do a lot of things with keys. I mean, to use the Kafka stream to do the aggregation, join, KSQL, etc. But this is just a keep we try to understand the fundamentals, how the basic things works, right? And another thing is good to know about the producers you can use like a fire and forget, which means you don't care if the brokers it's in health, it's everything's fine or not. You will just produce messages and forgot the Kafka brokers. But we have the synchronous. We need to wait a confirmation. I mean, I will get information for Kafka. I will receive the metadata information. So I will start to produce to Kafka, and I'm waiting for a confirmation. Like I tried to explain before, we use ACK equal wow, and if it means sync replica is equal 3, I need to wait 3 replicas, the confirmation of 3 replicas, the messages is sent to the 3 replicas, and so I can continue and produce to the next record, right? And asynchronous is a little bit different. What is the difference between firing and forget and asynchronous? Is asynchronous, I will check if Kafka is health. I receive metadatas from Kafka. I receive partitions, the etc. And so I will start to send the messages to Kafka, and that's it. And I don't need to wait a confirmation of from Kafka side if the messages it's committed to Kafka or not. So this is the difference. If I forget, I don't care anything. If some maybe brokers going down and I continues to send messages to nothing, it's, I mean, depends of the configuration, right? You can try to do this. So what's the mean? I mean, it's my opinion here. We have a lot of other configuration now, new configurations, so you can check the documentation. But this is some configurations. It's you need to keep in mind and check basic stuff. So producers, you need to specify on our producer the bootstrap server, the key serializer, the topic, and value serializer. This is a mandatory thing. If your Kafka have a SSL connection, MPLS, or Scrum or something like that, so you need to specify authentication authorization method. But here, just we will connect to plain text AI, simple Kafka. So this is we need to specify. But let's okay, but we talk about it's possible to send a message to Kafka without key, right? It's yeah, but in your producer code, in your code in the producer, you need to build and put key serializer equal null, for example, and that's it. But you need to specify. And another is configurations here. We have in producers, and my opinion is something important to you check, and I recommend you to check on the documentation. It's a client ID, the ACKS, right? Which means you can put one, -1, 0, or all. And the unit is good to understood what this means, because basically one I need just one replica to confirm on Kafka, and all I will need to wait all the messages configured in min-sync replica to back the configuration and the confirmation to continue to produce message. And we have the batch size and linear MES in microseconds. So basically, I can put here uh, a time that I wait until the batch size can I can use the batch size. So these two guys here, it's important to know and understood a little bit how this can configure, because this is something that you can see in the Kafka administration questions certification. So you can keep in mind a little bit and try to understand and try to read documentation how you can improve your producer or change this configuration together. And we have the deliver timeout, and we can enable independence of the producers. So this is some basic configuration. We have a lot of more other configuration. We have retries, for example, from the producers. That's something it's important too. You can configure the times that you can retry. This delivery timeout is another thing it's important to know. So please keep in mind and take a look of all the configuration on the producer side. And I try to just review basic stuff from the producers, and how we what we need to understand how the producers works, and the important configuration to check. Please, if you have any comments, in doubt, or any question, send to me. I will try to reply to you, and that's it. Thank you so much.